Hey YouTube, this is Eddie's Tech Talk, and this is my review of what's probably the most talked about phone of the year so far, the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Now I have the S8 Plus here, and I didn't really do an unboxing for this one, so just check out all the specs right over here. And just see kind of what we have going on. So the US version has a Snapdragon 835 processor, the newest one out there. And all the latest specs and things that you would expect from a smartphone. So we have a lot going on for us there. And I've had a little bit of time with this, so let me tell you what I think. So this device here, I mean, it's really easy when you pick it up to kind of feel like you're holding the future, and this is kind of an intangible feeling, but it's something that I really feel a lot of people have. I'm not a big fan of glass backs usually, but I think it really works with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. And it just feels like you're holding the future here, and I really love this. Is one of my favorite features on any smartphone ever, is this always on display. And not all always on displays are created equal, as you can see me in the glare there, but this one is really exceptional. I really like the kind of space looking theme here. We have our time, any notifications that we've got here, and then we have our on-screen button, which is a change for Samsung people. So you kind of hold this down here and you put kind of some more pressure into it, kind of a touch Apple, pressure sensitive screen kind of thing. And then we're into what we have going on here with the TouchWiz OS Android skin. So, and we can see the screen here. I mean, I gotta hold this really far back. I mean, this is all screen all the time. I mean, our bezels here are really thin. We really have a lot going on here. There's not a lot of bottom bezel. There's a little mark over here we'll talk about later in the review. But this is what we have going on, and especially when you just look at this, especially when you look at it in a store next to other smartphones, it's really hard not to just want to choose this one. I mean, the design language and the aesthetic here from just a look standpoint, it's exceptional. It's just something that I'm really impressed with Samsung on. We can see Bixby there. We have our edged curved glass here. I mean, this is just something that it's the next wave of flagship smartphones, and I have to say, for the most part, I really enjoy kind of what we have going on with that. But there are a couple design miscues here as well, which I'll talk about. But so as we go around the device, at the top here we have our front-facing camera and some sensors and things here. On the bottom, for a change, we have on-screen buttons here as the display turns off. And so we have home button in the middle. The default puts the back button over here like Samsung fans are used to, and the multitasking button over here. Now, I really hated Samsung, and that was one of the reasons why I just wouldn't buy their phones for quite some time. And also Verizon is the sponsor on this video. So I did not buy this phone. They sent it to me for review. But a reason why I would not personally invest in a Samsung phone in the past was because of the flipped button layout. Whereas if we pull out any other Android phone, really, we would have our our home button in the middle, our multitasking button to the right, and then we had our to the left we had our back button. And Samsung was always flipped. You would always have the back button over here and the multitasking button on the other side. So, and we don't have that any longer. You can flip this at will, so you can have it the old Samsung way or the other way. So figured I needed to mention that really quick, from that standpoint. Now it looks like there's not an app drawer, but you just saw if you swipe either down, which I didn't like, or up, you get the app drawer. And then this is something that it's kind of pixel-esque, but I kind of like that animation better, where it draws the screen up, whereas this one just kind of the screen just appears. And then once I was in this, maybe it's because of my HTC phone and a lot of other phones, like the Nexus 6 over here. When you pull the app drawer up, you kind of scroll it down. So once I scrolled to get it, I wanted to do that animation again to get it to go down, and you can see that goes to our home screen. You have to go over once you're in there, which is a little odd, but hey. I am nitpicking the design a little bit. For the most part, as we go through this TouchWiz interface, this is the best version Samsung has ever put out. And I'll zoom out a little bit so we can maybe get some more phone in there. This is maybe the best version Samsung's ever put out. It's actually a version I pretty much enjoy using for the most part, which is something I couldn't say about the past versions of their OS. We still have a lot of cluttery apps. We have email, Samsung's random email app, which there's no reason to use this. The Gmail app works just as well, if not better. the calendar app, which is pretty good actually. So maybe you like this one. But these are apps I would have much preferred to download if I wanted to use them, as opposed to just having them, with just having them here. I really like Google Photos. I'll never use Samsung Gallery, but I'm forced to have that on my phone. So, there are some things there. But the aesthetic, like I said, the software aesthetic looks for the most part just as good as the hardware aesthetic. Something you can see that comes up from time to time is they have this icon pack with these rounded corners. So you can see it works really well for Samsung's app, like Messages and Phone there. But then we have Google Maps over here, which is a square icon by default. So they kind of wrap them with this little circular bubble to kind of do that. Chrome, we can see, is in a circular bubble, whereas on other devices, again, Chrome's just kind of its own freestanding icon out there. They wrap them in this bubble. So a little strange, especially for an app as well known as Chrome, to have kind of that weird aesthetic to it. But for the most part, I mean, the software is good. The backgrounds are good. We can kind of see as I swipe those little specks back there move. And like I said, even when using the software and these things, it's hard to not feel like this is kind of a futuristic kind of thing going on. And I thought settings was something I should point out too. This is a really customizable phone, which really blew me away in terms of kind of what you could do there. So sounds and vibration, we can change the ringtones and things like that, but touch sounds, all the kind of normal things you expect. But you can see that there's a good customization effect here. So we can go to sound quality and effects, and you can even equalize a lot of these effects. And UHQ upscaler, I mean concert hall. There's so much fine tuning that is present in these phones. I mean, there we go. I was very, very much surprised by things like that. An edge screen, you can kind of customize, if you want that, or the edge lighting on or off, or anything like that. So there's a lot, and there's even performance modes. So you can kind of overclock this. So if you're going to play some games here, so it'll increase the brightness and kind of change the resolution. They had this in, I think, some of their other phones as well. But yeah, so it turns game mode on and kind of adjusts a couple of things here. So it's really customizable. I mean, it really lets you do a lot with it and kind of max the power out of your device from that standpoint. It does have NFC. You can do all that kind of stuff. But, there's just a lot you can do here. Easy mode you could turn on if you want. I choose not to. Display settings. You can even change the resolution if you want. So if you want to maybe save some battery or some stuff's not working for you, so we'll change this to WQHD+, which isn't the default. These were all default settings, so this kind of just changed the resolution to make it look, I guess, a little more crisp. I can't notice much of a difference there, maybe a little bit. So we're just gonna get back there and change it back if we can find it. So really customizable. Something I really enjoyed using from Samsung. This has a lot of really great features on it that even stock software doesn't have. And then furthermore, we can kind of open some stuff. So let's open Zillow, kind of get on out of here. I don't live in Detroit, but we'll just get on out of here. Say we're looking at some Zillow stuff, and then we want to open some settings. Now this is something I really thought was going to be included with the normal Android 7 update, but it wasn't. Samsung smartly included this. So on regular Android 7 phones, everything is split 50-50 no matter what you're doing. It's split 50-50. With Samsung, with most apps, you can do some resizing. So you can have one app that's that's a different size and has different stuff going on than another app. So, that's a feature that I really enjoyed and really thought was missing from stock Android. But you can see that it's here with the Samsung phones. So it's just really good from that standpoint of view, I would say. Then we can kind of exit multi-window. So a really, really nice feature here. Now, on the back, we have our camera. So if you want to see video samples from the camera, watch the Samsung Gear Icon X review. Watch my review of those headphones. The entire video, the audio, everything was shot on this phone. So if you want to check out the video, take a look at that. If you want to check out the photos, those will be up right now. Alright, so you can see some photos. I took those at about probably a couple minutes ago, really. So probably around 6:30 on just a normal day. So that's what we have going on there. You can decide for yourself. I try not to do too much opinionated stuff with the photos. I try to let you guys decide for yourself whether you like it or not. I thought colors, I'm colorblind, so take this with a grain of salt, were maybe a little bit overexposed, but for the most part I thought the camera was pretty good, but struggled a bit in some low light situations. But still, one of the best cameras you can really get from any device in the Samsung. It doesn't have a dual pixel camera, dual camera design like a lot of other ones, but it does the job well, and you just get that typical exceptional performance from Samsung's cameras and their displays. They make their own displays as well. This is the best screen on any smartphone. Best screen I've ever seen. It's just unparalleled. When I looked at my HTC after that, which uses an LCD versus an AMOLED, that's why the always-on display is so good, because with this AMOLED technology, all these black parts of the screen are actually screen that's turned off. It's not lit up, and just this part has stuff on it. This part of the screen is actually not on. But this AMOLED panel, I thought the color reproduction was so good. The contrast was so good. I don't know if I can get a really contrasty app. We'll get Verizon voicemail app onto the home screen here to kind of get a little contrast with the blue. But I thought the contrast, the colors, everything is so good on this display. And so this is a Samsung device, and I typically don't like Samsung devices. That was pretty good when I used it. It was pretty good. But let's take us to this line in the corner. One day with the phone. Now, shout out to Verizon. Verizon's totally got my back. They're with me on this. They'll keep sending me devices, but we can see that the device is cracked there. And, I said all this stuff about how this phone feels like the future, and it's really hard to, not feel that. And I have a lot of friends with the S8 Plus as well, and they all have cases on theirs. But I had this phone for one day, and I dropped it, so I'll tell you the scenario. This was in my pocket, so it wasn't in my hand. It was in my pocket. I sat down in an arena seat, and then it fell out of my pocket to concrete on the ground. But it was me sitting in a chair, and I measured it with the phone. This measures, I think, 6.28 inches tall, so it was 2 phone lengths. So this was like 12 and a half inches from the ground, so just over 1 foot of length, and it fell at a very low velocity. It wasn't flung, like I said, it was sitting in my pocket, and then it just kind of fell right on out at a really slow speed. It landed like this, and then we had the crack here, and that was one day into owning the device. And my friends with the phone did say, one guy said he ordered a case the day after he ordered the phone, and he said that those 3 days before he got the case were the scariest days of his life. So smartphone owning life anyway. So that's something that I'm really concerned about. Like I said, holding this device, using the device, hard not to feel like the future here. It's just hard. It's hard for that not to happen. But I don't know if this phone will last far into your personal future. Because of what's going on here with the screen. That was one day, and we just have this crack running down the spine, crack in the screen. It's just, with people buying phones for 2 years, especially with this phone costing so much money, it's just really, really difficult, I think, to kind of recommend it. Like I said, this phone seems really exceptional, and it seems really good, and I really enjoyed my time with the phone. But with this phone being so expensive, and most people in the United States anyway going on a payment plan to pay for this device over a 2-year period, I don't have the faith that it will last people for 2 years. I don't have that faith, so it's hard for me to recommend. If you're on my friend's on AT&T Next, so he said he gets his phone upgraded every year. He gets a new Galaxy every year. Maybe you can do it for a year. But a lot of people are still having these devices for 2 years, and I think with the performance under the hood and the design and the camera, I think that a lot of people would be happy with this device 2 years into the future, but they're not happy with it today. The battery life, something I didn't mention very much. This is the best battery life in a phone I've ever seen, save for the Moto Z Play. This battery lasts an absolute insane amount of time. I was very impressed. This will last you through a day easy, maybe even 2 days. We're talking 2-day battery life out of a flagship level, high spec, really, power hungry processor kind of thing, and we're talking 2-day battery life. exceptional, very exceptional. Even as the battery wears down over time, charging it through that USB-C port, and we have our headphone jack, always something good. So like I said, even when the battery wears down over time, I think that this device in 2 years would be, a very serviceable one that people would, really be satisfied with for the life of the device, except for the crack, and my friends, obviously we have this curl around edge glass, so our side bezel here is really small, see, before we start that curve of the screen. So even their cases that they have, they're really, really thin and just cover this really, really thin area here. And I just don't know how protective that is. They say that they haven't had problems yet, but I'm not sure if that'll last the test of time, as even if you have a case, as it kind of hits here and there, you don't have as much protection as you do on a phone without an edge screen here. So it's really tough, and I don't want to make any decisions for anyone out there, but I don't think this is a phone I would buy just because it's so expensive, and then things like this kind of happen, what might happen to it. So, and like I said, I had the phone for 1 day. It was just a day, and this is a review phone. So like I said, Verizon's got my back. They got me. They'll keep sending me phones. They won't be mad about this. But, it's tough. It's very tough at this juncture to kind of recommend the phone, given what happened to it. And I'm pretty careful with my phones, and I tend not to drop them, but I think over the course of 2 years, it's reasonably expected for someone to drop their phone from time to time, and that could happen to it. So just wanted to arm you with that information there. But this has been a presentation of Eddie's Tech Talk. If you liked the video, please let us know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know in the comments section what you think. Do you like the S8 or the S8 Plus? Are you planning on picking them up? Like I said, I think for the most part, this is the best phone Samsung's ever produced. But the durability problems, that's a real concern for me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below, and I will see you in the next one.